Welcome back to the Vandy Sports Podcast. I'm Joey Dwyer here from Thompson Bowling Arena after Vanderbilt's 88-53 loss to Tennessee. Tennessee's biggest win over Vanderbilt ever is a 38-point win. It got dang close to that today. It led by 41 points at one point and won by 35. Vanderbilt had no answers for what Tennessee did, and Tennessee went down. The ball zipped on offense, and it could have been Vanderbilt in a whole lot of different ways. It could have been as a result of Dalton Connect isolating. I think that would have worked. It could have played through its guys in the post. It could have just moved the ball like it did and got open looks from three all day. It didn't matter. Tennessee did a lot of things Vanderbilt had no answers for, and I think that wasn't exclusive to the offensive end. I think the defensive end, you just saw the size and the athleticism and the waves of depth that Vanderbilt had thrown at it by Tennessee. And again, Vanderbilt had no answers. We know they're not on Tennessee's level. Jerry Stackhouse even said so. And he said even, I don't know that we're frustrated with that. I think we're frustrated with our performance today. Again, it just kind of shows you where this is. The harsh realities of this are that Vanderbilt's not anywhere near Tennessee's level, and I think last year's game was kind of fool's gold. You had some really good players on that team, but seeing the way that this program has been built and the infrastructure of it, and to an extent the culture of it as well, it just feels like that was kind of a flash in the pan as opposed to what we're seeing now and what we've seen for the rest of Stackhouse's tenure. This is just kind of another bad night for Vanderbilt, and I tweeted this. The fact that a 35-point loss to your biggest rival isn't undoubtedly your worst of the season tells you a lot of things about where this program is, and I don't even know if we're at rock bottom yet, because I wonder if that will come later in the season or if it's already come, or I don't know, but all I know is Vanderbilt's not in a place it needs to be. This basketball product is not acceptable, whether there needs to be a coaching change, whether there needs to be a coaching or a change in terms of NIL. Something's got to give here, and this can't continue to be an acceptable result. Vanderbilt shot 33% from the field, 28% from three. Again, still hasn't shot over 40% from three on the year. Stackhouse complained about the officials post-game, but Vanderbilt shot 10 for 20 from the free throw line, and a lot of those were misses by walk-ons or guys who don't play a whole lot. But again, it just shows you, like, there can be excuses, there can be, and this isn't a jab at Stackhouse, because I think there's only so much he can say after a game like that, but there can be excuses, there can be games where you write off, but when you continually have the product looking like this, like it lost to Kentucky by 32, lost to Tennessee by 35, Auburn by 27, I mean, you just know that it's not good enough, and you know that the state of the program is not what it needs to be. You just look at the talent differential, and I thought Tyron Lawrence was okay, but he only finished with 8 points. Tennessee had Dalton Connect only score 14. That's, I think, well below his season average, and still ran Vanderbilt off the floor. When you lose by 35, you have bigger issues than losing by 35. And I think that's a good rule of thumb in a season like this, where Vanderbilt's felt like this pretty close to every night, or maybe not every night, but there's been way too many nights that it felt like this. You look at Presbyterian, you look at Western Carolina, San Francisco, Boston College, today, Kentucky. I could go on and on. Auburn the first time, Auburn the second time. You just see over and over again that this product isn't good enough, and it will continue to be not good enough until they find some fix for it in some way. I don't know exactly what that is. I don't know if Jerry Stackhouse knows exactly what that is. And I don't really know if it's possible at this point in the season to have a fix. It seems like it's pretty far off from even being a possibility, but you just look at the discrepancies on the floor today, and I want to talk X's and O's so badly. I want to talk about the 1-3-1 they ran in the second half. When the program is in this state, it's all but irrelevant right now, and I think the physicality of Tennessee was too much, the talent, the depth was way too much, and I think you saw that in the turnovers Vanderbilt had. Stack said that he didn't think they were really overwhelmed because of rebounding, and I think that's fair to an extent. I think they held their own on the glass to an extent, but gave up some offensive rebounds early when Tennessee went on its first run. 19 total turnovers was really something that I think made a big difference in this game. Vanderbilt hadn't turned it over a whole lot this year, but I think it was just swarmed by waves of Tennessee defenders and guys who knew what they were doing, guys who knew how to kind of game plan for Vanderbilt properly, and it was shown today. 19 turnovers. I don't know how many points that was for. Again, all you can talk about after a game like this is big picture stuff, and Stack didn't seem to think there was a whole lot of big picture issues today, but deep down I'd wonder if he does, and how disappointed he really is. Didn't seem super happy after this game. And this isn't all about the presser; it's a lot about this game. But you just look at that and you think, man, he's got to be so frustrated with this team. And you look at the entire fan base, and they feel probably as bad or worse as he does about this team. I just think there's so many areas in which Tennessee is a step ahead of Vanderbilt, and it wasn't always that way. It doesn't always have to be that way, but that's where we are right now. That's where Vanderbilt is, and there's only so much you can say after a game like that. Let's go through some jarring stats that I found during the game, if I can get to my computer properly. Again, what a brutal day for Vandy Athletics after losing to FAU. And then I think this is probably the worst one. I'm not panicked about Vandy baseball yet, but obviously not a great first 2 days. 33% from the field, 28% from three-point range. Here's some jarring stats. Vanderbilt has lost 10 of its last 11 to Tennessee. I think I said that one. Tennessee led by 31 at halftime. That's Vanderbilt's largest halftime deficit this season. The biggest margin of victory Tennessee ever had over Vanderbilt was 38 in 2014. Saturday was 3 points away from that. Tennessee had 16 assists on its first 20 field goals, and I think that just shows you Vanderbilt had no answers for what Tennessee wanted to do offensively, and I just don't think it has the bodies to. I think Lubin really fought. But again, offensively early on, you look at what Tennessee did to Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt got some looks in its actions, but largely when it was scoring throughout the early part of the game, when it was down 13-5 and when it was 30-8, it was because Tyron Lawrence was taking a guy like Sakai Ziegler off the bounce and getting to a spot and rising up and scoring. You look at Van Allen Lubin scoring in isolation. Tennessee wants you to play with your left hand in terms of having to go in isolation and getting away from your actions. And I think Rick Barnes did a really nice job of that today to Vanderbilt, and that's what really caused Vanderbilt to be out of this game so early. When a team like Vanderbilt falls behind, there's not much hope that it can come back. I think it did a really nice job against Texas A&M countering punches. The punches from Tennessee were too much in this building, though. It was dang near sold out, and I just think the amount of depth in their front court, even without J.P. Estrella in the lineup today, was really jarring to see against Vanderbilt. It was jarring to see this close last year, just how Tennessee kind of swarmed the ball. And I think it was that again today, where Vanderbilt couldn't really get anything outside of isolation or outside of stuff late in the game or when the game was out of hand. Shout out to Graham Calton for knocking down a three late in the game. I know that one probably felt good after what had transpired early, but again, we're at the point where Stack sat his guys before Rick Barnes did, and I think he kind of admitted defeat there. And Vanderbilt's had way too many days where it's had to admit defeat in the post games, late in games. It's just the same feeling over and over again for this team, for this program. I'm not one to have to come in here and provide hope for you guys because, honestly, I'm not in a position where I believe super a whole lot in that vision right now. But we're going to see what happens this offseason, what changes are made, and whether this is a product worth continuing to put time and effort into. Because right now, I don't know that you'd blame many people for being apathetic towards it. They lost in this building by a lot again, and there's not really change on the horizon per se in terms of the result or what it's going to be in the future. So I'm Joey Dwyer. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you to the Wash House for presenting our basketball content, allowing me to make trips like this. And thank you guys again for your support. It's a blessing to be here even when the team I cover isn't performing, but it's a blessing regardless. Thank you guys for watching. God bless. Peace.